Hello class, how are you guys doing today? So we are going over JP3 lyrics program. This is 2018 movie, the newest and latest and greatest. What I'm going to be doing is, this is the requirements for you to do. I'm going to be using these methods, and please realize these methods are shown in the JP3 program. So we go under on Advanced Computer Math 2018, click on JP3 Lyrics Program, and we want to download the Java file. So I click here, click download, and then I want to open up the lyric program, and these are the requirements that you have to do. When we go to downloads, and we want to drag this over into my BlueJ folder, so drag, and when I compile and run this, we'll open it up, compile it, it works. Please realize that if we scroll all the way down here, these are the ones that I want you to be using. These are the hints, and these are the ones that I will be doing, which are completely different. So first thing I'm going to do is copy this inside here to delete this and replace it with that. And then I'm going to cut and paste this in front of every section that I will be using these rules so that I know what to do. Because that'd be great if I knew what I did. Next one is we want to open up Java Docs. I'm not going to be using it because I'm a genius, but you should have it. So we're going to go to Java Docs and ASCII table, and we want to click on the Java Docs, click on the link. We want to scroll down to strings, which is alphabetical, click on string, and every method that we'll be using is defined in a method summary, and if you click on it, it tells you what it does. I already know what it does, so I'm not going to be clicking on that, but you should definitely be using that to be understanding what we're going on. And also realize there's an out of bounds fix and a lyrics fix here that you will need. I will not be going over, it's explained right there. I think I might, who knows. But let us begin. So we want to read through the code. Whoa, I read fast. So first thing we want to do is go to the top. And I don't need that. So I want to go here and I want to make one rule at a time. My first rule is last index of. So I want to put in English what the method does. Find the last index of a string after a point. So now that I have that, I want to go down to rule number 1 in the if statements, which means rule number 1, I need a string and a int. String and a int. So in rule number 1, I say get a string. So I'm going to put in string rule 1 find this equals error 1. I put in error 1 because then I know the value for rule 1 find this was not found. So I want to get this right here. I want to change this to next line because I'm getting a string. Next what I'm going to be doing is getting an int. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, paste this right here, make a int rule 1 point, starting point, equals -1, because we never start with -1. That'll throw an error message if we don't get it, so that's good. And so what string do you want to find? And then the next one is, I'm going to change this to string equals find this, so that I output to the screen that I got it. The next one is what is your starting point? Now I want to change this to find this, that means find this and starting point. And so now I found these, so I need these variables, so I'm going to copy pasta all the way down her. So in rule 1, paste, and comment this out as well. I need to do on sCurrent line, which is the string from the lyrics. I want to do the method, which the method is last index of. And I want to get the two parameters, which are rule find this, comma, rule 1 starting point. I'm going to compile and get an error message, but first I also want to do this is whatever I output to the file, I also want to output to the system. Compile error. I can't find this because the scope of the variable is not in this, so we have to go back up here. Instead of declaring the variables here, I want to copy this, delete string, delete int, scroll all the way up to the top of the program and put my variables in the top of the program. And now when I compile, I'm good to go. So now that I have the variables up here, and it works. Rule 1 is actually done, so let's compile it and check, because you always want to check your work along you go. So I'm going to run it, and of course I run rule number 1. What string do I want to find? Hello. What's my starting point? 3. And of course this isn't going to do anything because in my Hackett folder I do not have an input. I need to make my input output. So in my program, I read the file output.txt and I write to there and I read from my input.txt, which is before sCurrentLine, which is right here. So I'm going to say input lyrics, and because I'm doing other stuff in this Java program, I'm going to make output lyrics just so that it all works. So now I need to go to that said folder, which to get to that folder you go My Documents, and it should be named whatever the name is right here, Hackett. Hence Hackett, and I go here and notice that there's no input lyrics, so I right click, and new text document. I want to go input lyrics with a capital L, and I want to go and find lyrics, so I go to my trusty internet. I'm going to say lyrics, Johnny, there it is. So copy the lyrics. And I want to put them into my lyrics right here. I'm going to save it, close it out, go to my program, run it, and get an error message. Let's go Johnny. And my starting point is 4. Ooh, I don't get an error message. Next rule we want to do is scroll all the way to the top. We have hash code. So output hash code. And it doesn't take in any parameters. So we do not need a if statement for it. So no if2. So we scroll down here, and we're doing hash code. So sCurrentLine.hashcode. And we can also add in the sCurrentLine. So I'm going to go equals that, and change length to hash code. I compile and run this, and we go 2. And there's the hash code for every single string, which if you look into hash code, it'll explain everything of what's going on. So hash code is now done. And we want index of. Index of takes in a char. Find the first index of a char. So rule number 3, I need to get in a char. So rule 3, I need a char. So I'm going to go char rule 3 equals, F, because no one should be looking for a capital F. I'm going to take this right here. Scroll up here, scroll down, delete the char. And what we want to do is get the char. So rule 3, find char. I want to get the next line and get the first character of that line. And then I want to output this and find this char. Copy this, scroll down to rule 3. My parameter is find this char. My method is index of. Copy index of, paste it down here, and then I'm going to put in an equal sign over here just so that I can see the value of it. I'm going to compile, run it, and check the code. So I want to go first index of char. I want to find pop, the first thing of P, and there it is. Papa is 4, no Papa is 3, so that's good. Then we want to scroll all the way back up. We have these 3 done, so now we're on get bytes. So I'm going to say get dem bytes, yo, which again, it's in English, that's all I care about. And it takes in no parameters, so rule number 4 will be deleted on the if statement. And I scroll down, get bytes, rule number 4, get bytes, delete the parameter, set an equal sign. Get bytes, delete the parameters, set an equal sign, compile and run it, and let's get them bytes. So rule 4, there's them bytes. We got them bytes, now we got to get that intern. So get paid for nothing. That's not what it actually does, it's just a joke. I don't want to look up what it does. You should, you need to. So rule number 5 also has no parameters, so I delete the if statement, I scroll down. And on rule number 5, I delete compare to, put in intern, put in equal sign, delete compare to, delete intern, put in equal sign, compile, and run it. And again, you always want to check your program every time you do something so you know it always works. It just re-outputs the string, it looks like. but look up the Java docs to see what it actually does. So to do that, let's actually do that because we need to. We go to the Java docs. We want to go to intern, which is I. Click on it, and it says it returns the canonical representation for the string object. So it basically creates a new object of that string with the same value but a different pointer. We have intern done. Let's do index of. Takes in a char and an int. So this is rule 6. Find the first index of char after int. Scroll down. We need to get a char and an int. Up here we got a string and an int. So I'm going to copy this for rule 6. Needs to be a char. So I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to go char rule 6 find this equals a char of f. I'm going to copy this, delete char, scroll all the way up to my variables, paste it. And I also need my int. So I'm going to go int rule 6 position equals -1. I'm going to copy this, go all the way down, put it right here, delete int, edit, auto layout, so it's tabbed all nicely. And now instead of rule 1, I want rule 6. Instead of rule 1, I want rule 6. And realize this is a next int, and rule 6 is a next char, so I need to get dot char at position 0 to return the first character of that string. Compile, and I fix that compile error, which is also on box. It will be explained right here how to do that. And so now I have the first char, I have the int, and I want to change this to what char do you want to find. Let's put want up here. And now we scroll all the way down to rule 6. We want index of. It is a char and an int, so I should have copied this down here. So I want to copy rule 6, copy rule 6, and these are the parameters. So now when I compile and run this, it should work. So we're going to do rule 6. We want to find char A after position 3. There we go. All done. Now realize this didn't put the string on there, so let's go ahead and do that. So I want to add this string at the end of this. So just like up here, I want to add sCurrentLine. So I put that at the end. And now when I run it, run rule 6. I want to do P5. There we go. It also outputs the string to the file as well, which is always nice. So we have rule 6 done. Go back up. Now we want to do split. So I want to copy this, make it 7, and split the string based off of string, another string. So I take in a string, this takes in a char, so I'm going to copy rule 3 and make it rule 7, and I'm going to go string rule 7 split string equals the string -1. I'm going to copy this, delete string, paste it up on top. I'm going to go all the way down, paste it on the bottom, and comment it out. So I have the variable name down there. I go back up to rule 7. I want to copy this, right here, delete the dot char at 0 because I want the entire string. Compile it, see that it works. Scroll down, and I want to add in the rule. So I want to copy this rule, paste it here. I want to do the parameter needs to be my 1 parameter. And the rule that I'm doing is split. So copy paste split into rule 7. I just got to change case to rule 7. And now let's compile this. So I'm going to do rule 7 J. And it splits it, but it still exists. You just don't see it. It does do the work though, because it returns the pointer to the the string array of the split strings for every J. And the next one is code point count. Takes in an int and an int. So again, I take rule 7 copy, paste, make it rule 8, and I'm just going to say code point count. You should not do this. You need to go to the Java docs and read what it does and write an English response and what it does to the user. You scroll down here. I need to get 2 ints, so I'm going to copy rule 1, paste it down after rule 7, change it to rule 8. I need to get int rule 8 start equals -1, and I want to copy paste because I'm lazy, rule 8 end. I'm going to copy both of these, delete this, scroll all the way to the top, paste my variables, scroll all the way to the bottom, paste my variables, comment them out. I'm keeping the type here so I know what type they are. And in my rule 8, I want to go get the start, end, and I want to put start here, which I didn't before, I should have on the other ones. And scroll down, I want code point count, copy rule 7, make it rule 8, take code point count, cut it, make that instead of split, and then I want my start, comma, end, and copy this for the same thing over here, compile it. Instead of next line, it needs to be next int because I'm getting a int, not a string. Now I compile it, it works. And we go over here, run the program, and I want to do 8, starting point 23 and 451. I get an array out of bounds exception error, which if you go to box.com, there's an out of bounds error fix, which means basically you need to copy this code. That is right here. Go into my program, and inside this thing right here, I'm going to do the if statement. This is going to apply to both lines of code, so I'm putting squirrely brackets. If you didn't want to do squirrely brackets, you can do 2 if statements of the same thing. X needs to be my end, and now as long as my ending point is smaller than the length of the string, the program will work. So if I go here and do rule 8, I want to do starting to ending, let's do 8. If you notice, it doesn't, so if I up this number, it's going to run less and less lines of code. So let's go 14, 8 to 16, and notice it's a lot shorter. It almost takes up the entire page plus 1. So now if I run it and go 8 to 22, it fits on the whole entire page. Because less and less lines, and 22 minus 2 is 20. That's pretty much it. You would need to add one more method and do the one trick, and you're all done. You do not need to turn in your input file because I'm going to be using my lyrics on your code. Post it to box, just the one Java file. Oh, and I would need to go to said code and, of course, change the name to Fenson Nate 7 for my period, JP, and then lyrics program. Then I would also need to write the pre-post name date period. So star double quote name date period pre 1 2 3 for the 3 things, post 1 2 3 for the post 3 things, and summary of program. You type it out. I'm way too lazy. That's it. Have a good one. I will see you later.